party into a beautician, cut her hair down to an inch long, we think just to spite Jennifer. So there's bad blood all around, and I don't know really what the solution is. We think that Jennifer should get that $3,500 a month kind of automatically to eliminate all these arguments. I'd be willing to be the conservator if everybody would halfway agree, but I understand the other side's objection too, so.
You just about have to have a waiver to
Yeah.
do that
So-
ethically, I would think. But
So that's where we are. I guess one solution might be if the court just ordered the cabinet to pay $3,500 a month and argue about everything else, that would maybe solve the immediate issues. So that's where we
I
stand.
do have one concern, and I don't know that I've expressed it before. From the hearing, is part of the reason that that amount of money is needed is to make a mortgage payment?
Yes, well, she's got her monthly expenses, including the mortgage on the house, right?
And something that really bothers me, although it really is an issue for some probate court down the road, I suppose, but that might be me. But at any rate, what bothers me is that there's some sort of joint ownership here, or a joint encumbrance, or
Yeah.
maybe both,
What,
and that worries me.
okay, what happened is that she and her first husband owned this house.
Right,
They got a divorce. He quit-claimed her interest to her.
right.
Then she married a second guy who was a real louse,
Right.
just for a really short time. Everybody was worried that he would somehow get his claws on the house. So at that time, everybody was halfway friendly. They put the house, Jennifer put the house in the name of her sister Laura and her mother. And at that time, they had to refinance to get rid of the ex-husband situation. So since Betty was an owner at that time, she signed the mortgage, the mother did. Then everything kind of cooled down, and Laura and the mother then quit-claimed their interest in the real estate back to Jennifer, but that mortgage,
But the
that was
mortgage is still there.
still in the mother's name. Of course, Jennifer's been paying that all along with,
Every check, I can prove every check's
Yeah.
been on my account since day one.
so, but her point in this
So the
case.
title is with Jennifer,
title.
but the mortgage is signed off on
Right.
that, okay.
And-
I'm trying to refinance that Friday,
Yeah,
actually.
I want to give you a chance, yeah. I know
Okay.
you're-
And Jennifer's position is that, if you put my mother in any kind of a rest home when she no longer have the care of her family, it's going to cost way more than $3,500. This is a full-time job. She's an active Alzheimer person. She actually fell recently and broke her hip, and we got all that therapy done and recovered from that. But if she can't do anything else but take care of her mother, to get out of the house, she has to pay a babysitter. We think $3,500 is a reasonable amount, and it prevents all these itemized statements and arguments. So that's her position.
Ma'am.
First of all, Jennifer has gone through a third of my mother's house money with frivolous spending. She stated that she took the $25,000 to build a log cabin because my mom was going out on the highway. I just want you to see how close this new log cabin, how to an active railroad tracks. Jennifer's pipe dream has always been to turn her primary home into a restaurant/gift shop, and this is what the money was spent for. So because of that, she was living off of $2,400 for a year and a half before my mother's home was sold. Comparing a nursing home where she'd have physical therapy, occupational therapy, nurses that would get her, make sure she got her meds every day, and, 24-hour care, there's no comparison. Like I said, my mother just, another reason why I can't be co-conservator, I found out the day before I had a court-ordered visitation with my mother. She then told me my mother fell 4 weeks ago, Judge. I was never notified. I'm a registered nurse. She deprived me going up there to take care of my mother's medical needs at the time. She deprived me to be able to pray for my mother during a time of need by not letting me know about this. She did not tell Cynthia either. As far as the deed to my mother's home, my mother's name was always on that. That was recently changed by Jennifer's attorney, along with her will. My mother was on that mortgage, the deed, up to maybe a year ago when they changed it. Okay, so that was never taken off. We need to look at the records on that. My mother is not costing her even $2,400. I am fine with the $2,400. Jennifer, if my mother was not alive, could not bring in that income herself. And it's not my mother's responsibility to support her, her boyfriend JJ, her boyfriend JJ's son, who's larger than any of us, plus she's a guy, Dave, living there, and her child. It's not my mother's responsibility to support the whole household. The $2,400 is substantial. She can't substantiate needing more because otherwise Cabinet of Health and Family Services would have given her the funds if she could substantiate it.
What's the cabinet's position on a per diem allowance for personal care? Have you ever gotten into that?
Yes, we have discussed it with Jennifer.
Have you ever done it in other cases?
Well, there is an allotment statewide for a caregiver rate.
Mhm.
And it's, I'm not really for sure, it's like $965 a month.
Okay.
And that is just a standard flat rate that a caretaker is provided.
Judge, if I could mention one other thing. Last week, you granted her $3,500
For a month, yes.
for a month. She has not made a house payment on her primary residence since December 15th, so I don't know what she's doing with her money.
That's not true.
That is true. We just called Wells Fargo yesterday, because it's under my mother's name. That is true.
I can explain that, Your Honor, very quickly. That in December, when I talked to Trina's Bosch, when I had that money, I told her I had taxes paid, I didn't have enough money to pay my stuff, and they told me they were going to pay that house payment. Well, I didn't make December because I was curious to see if they were going to pay it. Well, they haven't paid it, and I didn't still have enough money to pay the difference because I pay my car taxes. I can't live on $2,400 a month. I don't care what she says. That's like $3 an hour they're paying me for 24-hour care. I mean, and I understand that's my mother, but I don't have insurance. I have nothing. I take care of my mother. I think I'm entitled to something. I do the work, for God's sake.
If she had a full-time job, she could not bring in $2,400.
If I worked 24/7, I could.
But you have a child to take care of, so you would not be able to do that.
24/7. She's in
Judge,
school
her
during the day.
making 24/7 a month is equivalent to someone making $45,000 after taxes, and she has never come close to making that on a yearly basis, never.
Okay.
She's-
For,
It's not my mother's job to support that whole household, Judge. My mother has fallen. When I took her on visitation, she can't even walk. I can't even get her to walk a couple steps. And the next day when I had my mother, she slept for the whole 8.5
She was
hours in the
worn
car
out.
because Jennifer had given her medication the night before.
well, now, I entered an order regarding a medication workup.
I can show you that anytime.
Judge,
Well, I want to see the workup. I think
Okay.
I ordered that she be assessed
I did have
for her
this.
yeah,
needs.
she goes to the local family doctor, and we just got a statement that the hip therapy was completed, no longer needs any therapy, everything's kosher, and she gets, one of the medications she has is a sedative, what's the name of it?
It's a lorazepam. It's like a Valium.
And she's allowed to have up to 3 of those a
day.
day, and she gets one every once in a
And the
while.
only reason
so-
I gave it to her Friday night is because Laura took her by her house at Kettering and got her all upset. She was frantic.
That's not true, Judge. And
God's honest truth.
I went up to Kettering, Ohio, because Jennifer said my mother's hearing aid needed to be fixed. So Jennifer asked me to go up to Kettering, Ohio to get my mother's hearing aid fixed, which even though that's her job, I'll do that for my mother. So she asked me to go into Kettering. I didn't take my mother by her house. That would be torture.
She wants to see her friend Shelley.
Well, Shelley doesn't live by Mom's house.
Okay, okay.
All right, motion's taken under advisements.
Your Honor, also in regard to the loan, we had looked at the dollar amount, and we felt if we were gonna pay the $2,200 at that point to Jennifer, and then in addition pay for the loan, would be over the $3,500, so that's the reason why we had decided.
Say that again.
The amount of the house loan, plus the money that we had originally started paying her with the $2,200.
Mm-hmm.
If you added those together, it would be more than the $3,500. said it's,
I think the confusion about the monthly payment was that Jennifer didn't know if they were gonna pay it or if she should pay it, and it just kinda got, but it's all straightened out now. so.
Okay. Well, I'll take the matter under advisement. The only issue I intend to rule on at this time will be the amount of the monthly stipend, whether that continues for March and thereafter. Mr. Bathalter, I'll respectfully overrule your motion
Okay.
for appointment of you. I think that places you in just such a difficult position
Right.
that it's not going to be good for the solution. Now, as to whether an individual might come forward and be appointed, that may be fine, but for now, the cabinet, and until that time, the cabinet remains responsible, and I'll get this order out in enough time that you'll know what to do for purposes of March.
Okay,
Okay?
thanks, Judge.
All right.
Just wait a minute. I'll catch up with you. Judge, I got a couple of state things.
Oh. Stay up here, if you would.
But, Hoffmeyer and Frazier.
they're the very last ones.